Flying Officer Kemble Russell Wood, whose story will be told shortly. We're honoured to welcome His Excellency the Honourable George Brandis, Australian High Commissioner to the United Kingdom. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. And during this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you're able, I invite you all to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. If you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Flying Officer Kemble Wood. Kemble Russell Wood was born on 10 December 1915 in the Sydney suburb of Ryde, the son of Frank and Gwendolyn Wood. The eldest of 4 siblings, Kemble attended Plumpton Primary School near Blacktown and later Parramatta High. The family had a poultry farm at Plumpton, which was then on the outskirts of Sydney. Kemble's father wanted him to take over the farm one day, but as he grew up, Kemble had different ideas. Having done well in school, he took a public accountancy course, which he completed with flying colours. He also had a great love of motorcycle riding and a strong interest in aeroplanes. When the Second World War broke out, Kemble's mind was set on joining the RAAF. He joined on the 21st of June 1941 and began training as a pilot under the Empire Air Training Scheme. In September 1941, he attended elementary flying training school, beginning in Link Trainers, an early flight simulator. Real flying was done in DH-82 Tiger Moths. It is said that he would sometimes fly over the family farm and that of Ethel Hunter, his fiancée, and waggle his wings. That must have sealed the deal, for on the 13th of September 1941, they were married. Kemble then attended service flying training school at Amberley near Ipswich in Queensland. Progress was slow as he struggled to master the intermediate stage of training, now flying the twin-engined Avro Ansons. On the 19th of March, Wood had a close call while flying at night and had to make a forced landing when the starboard motor failed. He handled it well. The only damage was a collapsed tail wheel. Wood began a diary on the 15th of May 1942, just before departing Sydney on the ocean liner Ceramic. Arriving in Liverpool, Wood requested assignment to heavy bombers, but soon changed his mind to night fighters. Ultimately, however, Bomber Command is where he would remain. His next posting was the No. 3 Pilot Advanced Flying Unit, based at South Cerney in Gloucestershire. Here he spent 7 weeks getting used to British operating standards and weather conditions over England, this time flying airspeed Oxfords. Despite the busy training schedule, there was some time for leisure and Wood took full advantage, visiting nearby towns, going for walks in the countryside and playing tennis. He often went to the movies and enjoyed dinner and drinks with friends and comrades. On trips to London, he would catch up with other Australians at the Boomerang Club. On the 13th of September 1942, he recorded in his diary, "Anniversary of the best day's work in my life. Just 1 year married. How I wish Ethel had been with me today." At the end of October, Wood spent 2 weeks at RAF Clark in Cumbria, where he did further training on Ansons with the Staff Pilot Training Unit before heading further north to Castle Kennedy in Scotland. There he joined No. 3 Air Gunnery School, flying Blackburn boaters. By the end of the year, they relocated to the RAF base at Mona on the island of Anglesey in Wales, where training continued. On the 17th of December, Wood received a telegram that Ethel had given birth to a daughter who they named Gwendolyn. Having been made Flight Sergeant at the end of 1942, on the 27th of May 1943, Wood received word that his commission had come through and he was now a pilot officer. Finishing his training with No. 3 Air Gunnery School, he was posted to No. 156 Squadron at Warboys near Cambridge, but was soon on his way to another unit, No. 1659 Heavy Conversion Unit at RAF Topcliffe, north of Leeds. There he remained until early July, learning to fly the heavy 4-engine Halifax bomber. On the 11th of July 1943, Wood was posted to an operational unit, No. 405 Vancouver Squadron of the Royal Canadian Air Force, which was based at Granson Lodge Airfield to the west of Cambridge. Wood was impressed with his new comrades. He particularly admired the CO, Wing Commander John Fauquier. 405 Squadron formed in April 41 and began combat operations that summer over Germany. In 1942, they participated in the historic 1,000-bomber raid on Cologne on the night of the 30th and 31st of May, 1942. By 1943, this experienced unit had become part of Bomber Command's Elite No. 8 Pathfinder Group, and in September 1943, they were re-equipped with the latest Lancaster bombers. The Pathfinder's job was to go in first and accurately mark targets with flares and incendiary bombs, so the main force of bombers coming behind could use their flares as the aiming point. Pathfinding was especially dangerous work. By the beginning of August 1943, Wood was captaining his own aircraft and crew. His first combat operation was over Hamburg. Over the next 3 months, they flew sorties over many German towns and cities, plus some closer to home over France. Twice they made long flights, nearly 10 hours non-stop to Turin in northern Italy. Then on the night of the 17th and 18th of August, Wood and his crew participated in Operation Hydra, the first Allied air raid on Peenemünde, the German scientific research centre where the Nazis were developing their V-weapons. Wood wrote Ethel nearly 100 letters while he was away. One of his last mentioned a close call on a raid over Hanover when the plane was badly damaged by flak. A piece hit Wood, bruising his ribs, and another crew member was wounded in the arm. Wood got the plane safely home, but it was riddled with holes. He had now flown 19 missions, but there seemed no end in sight, either for the war or his tour of duty. Those in Pathfinder squadrons were expected to fly more than the standard 30 missions before being relieved, sometimes 45 or more. On the evening of the 20th of October 1943, Kemble Wood's Lancaster, R for Robert, took off on their next raid. 11 Lancasters from 405 Squadron led a total of 358 aircraft on an attack on the city of Leipzig, deep inside Germany. 16 were shot down that night. The core of Germany's first-line air defences was their Kammhuber line. Here a network of radars and searchlights helped night fighters to pounce on Allied bombers well before they got to their targets. Wood's Lancaster was hit just halfway to Leipzig, about 80 kilometres west of Bremen, when R for Robert was hit. Records show that it was a night fighter ace, Oberleutnant Heinz Wolfgang Schnaufer, who shot the aeroplane down. After dispatching one plane, his radar operator soon detected another, which they zeroed in on, delivering a heavy burst of fire to the Lancaster's left wing. The inner engine caught fire immediately. Wood put the aircraft into a steep dive to try and extinguish the flames, but it was no good. The rest of the plane was rapidly engulfed in fire as it plunged earthwards and crashed into the ground. Only one man got out, the mid-upper gunner, Warrant Officer Johnson. He was captured and spent the rest of the war as a prisoner. The Lancaster crashed in a wood near the little town of Harenstetter. Wood and 6 other members of the crew were initially buried in the town's Catholic cemetery. The CO wrote to Ethel, offering his condolences, noting that Kemble was popular with his comrades and would be greatly missed. Missed too by his family at home in Australia, including his daughter, Gwendolyn, whom he never met. In December 1947, the remains of the crew were exhumed and reinterred in the Weichswald Forest War Cemetery at Claver. Kemble Wood was retrospectively promoted to flying officer. He was 27 years old when he died. His name is also listed on the Roll of Honour to my left among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flying Officer Kemble Russell Wood, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
If you're able, please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as with the left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes this evening's last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.